Windrunner 13 could have been the one. Instead, it lit a fire that led to questionable decisions. $29.99 is 3K, right? Asking for a friend. Being 1 point off can really shift your perspective.
If you're close to your goals, keep going. It's worth it. If you like real Mythic Plus stories from non-world first players, hit subscribe and join our Discord. Links in the description.
Keys brick.
Timers are tight.
Skull
Skull
dies
dies
last.
last.
Welcome to episode 7 of Skull Dies Last podcast. I'm Dae, and I'm joined by my co-host Digi, who was crushed by math this week. Say hello, Digi.
Hello, good morning.
So, Digi, other than being crushed by math, how was your week?
First of all, I hate math. Other than that, my week was pretty good. Watched some good animes, and I decided in my kind of downtime slash, a little bit before bed, I wanted to get back into Animal Crossing, but it hasn't worked out well for me.
What?
Well, I'll get into bed, I'll get all comfortable, I'll grab my Switch, and then I pass out.
Oh, and that you leave your Switch on overnight and it has no power in the morning and your whole thing is dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And then I plug it in, and then the cycle repeats.
Huh.
As well as Diablo 4 just had an expansion drop that I haven't been able to dive into quite yet, but I'm very excited for it, and they've got some...
Because you play keys on my schedule?
I mean, pretty much. It's a lot of keys. But Diablo has added some... Blizzard is very set on tier 2. Everything's tier 2 remakes and recolors and everything, but they've added tier 2 cosmetics to Diablo 4, and I play the heck out of a paladin in Diablo 4, so I bought the tier 2 paladin cosmetics this morning.
Oh, well, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, look, it looks really cool. I like it better than the new recolor, or the 20-year recolor that we had
in
War
retail
Within for tier 2.
Yeah.
How about yourself? How was the week?
I mean, it's been rainy here, so not much going on outside. The raid team full cleared AOTC finally. We decided to spend some time. Yeah, I'm excited. That means I could stop focusing on raid. Don't yell at me.
More keys, more keys, more keys.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. We still need to do like the glory of the raider achievement so we can get that mount, but that'll happen. So yeah, Midnight Falls is a great fight. Like, we've been sitting on it for a while. We didn't want to prog it for a couple weeks. We were chasing some mythic prog, and now with bonus rolls, everyone's starting to get stuff. We could talk more about the fight later. I do have some thoughts. I've spent some time playing Windrose. If you guys don't know, that's kind of like Valheim Ark survival, but you're a pirate. And I mean, I find it enjoyable to be building stuff into sinking pirate boats who are chasing me for my gold.
I'm thinking about picking that up myself, and I want you to know that on repeat, every time that I'm on a ship, I will be playing Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, they have sea shanties tracks, so when you're in your boat, you can have your crew play shanty.
But is it Pirates of the Caribbean?
No, but it could be. Sure. If you want to replace the audio files.
True. I'm going to replace them all to Pirates of the Caribbean. All right, enough about real life. On to keys.
Yeah, Digi, how are your keys? Kind of a loaded question.
Yeah. There was a lot of keys. A lot of 13s. And a lot of bricked keys. but also a good amount of timed keys. 'Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
we were on the elusive push to 3K this week.
Well, your elusive push.
Yeah, my elusive push. Well, and yours. We were pushing to get your monk to 3K, even though you already have 3K.
Yes, which I will say is the highest I have tanked, like the highest IO that I have tanked. Right? Because I would only tank for weekly keys to help people get their vault filled, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it's the highest IO I've ever had, as well as doing it on a roll that I don't normally do.
Well, if you think
So-
back to episode 1.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm gonna heal, yet here you are.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna play a warlock, and it's something I haven't played in forever, and I haven't touched my warlock in a month.
Again, you haven't played it
So-
forever.
No, I did that deep dive into healing. It's crazy because I started off on the pally, then I was like, oh, maybe I want to play holy priest, and then it was shaman, and then last night we started running keys on my druid as well.
Well, I am more than happy to take your healers through stuff so you have a choice.
It might end up being we might full character switch again to druid.
Oh my fucking god.
that might be a thing because I mean I've only done up to a 10 on it, which was very easy, by the way.
Oh, wait till later today.
Well, exactly. My key right now on the druid is a 12. I believe it's 12 Magister's Terrace, so that's a little scary, but
Well, maybe we get you Resil 12. But that's 8 fucking... Oh, man. My hands are already hurting.
I mean, Resil 12 would be cool. Honestly, the main thing my druid needs right now is crests.
Crest. Well, you got plenty to catch up on, right?
Yeah.
Hero crest, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a couple hundred hero crests short from cap on that.
So that means we have to crest we have to cap your mythic crests. So you could start earning your hero crests at the level we're playing at.
Basically, which we haven't even done for my shaman yet.
What, capped your myth crests for the week?
No, my shaman is hundreds of crests away still.
What? How?
Yeah.
Wild.
I mean, we only started a couple weeks ago on it.
Well, anyway.
But that does mean the good thing is, like, my druid has no myth track pieces yet, minus the offhand that I got from my bonus roll yesterday that is useless to me. So that means I am going to craft today and get its second embellishment, which will be a nice help for things as well. But we can talk more about the druid later because we've got the big keys to talk about.
Yeah, a very important one.
Windrunner
Where do we
13.
You want to start there on 13, Windrunner?
Think
Yeah?
so.
Okay.
Because
What happened?
that's the one that pissed me off.
How bad was I?
You were fine. The first pull was a little sketch.
Well, but, you know, it's always
Um,
sketch. That's the one where you gather everybody and,
Yeah.
you know, as tank, you're using that middle piece as line of sight. So whichever way you go, you either go counterclockwise or clockwise, you're gathering your people and you're coming back to be line of sight. And it's like astronauts going to the moon, right? And this is only relevant mostly because we've done it recently. When they are on the other side of the moon, communication doesn't doesn't happen anymore, right? There's no
Yeah.
line of sight. And same thing with that little planter thing in the middle of that room, is that there's no line of sight, which tanks use to help move people, especially if you use your Ring of Peace early to knock a stubborn mob into your group because no one's kicking it. Then you could use that to help line of sight and get them out of the dome that they eventually make. But it's a scary pool because DPS should be kicking stuff. Like, just kick it to get it in. It's gonna. I promise you, the global that you're spending on that kick is going to lead to higher numbers because you're going to have more creatures in your pack. Unless you're hard capped on AoE, which I think we've gotten rid of that, and everybody is going, beyond it. It's just diminished. But once you get rid of one or two people, your damage will go back up. Regardless, it is scary, and I commend you for always putting up with me doing that pool.
Usually the pool's not bad. It didn't go well that run. It was a nice quick wipe, but we recovered pretty nicely.
Do you remember what happened?
And yeah, your health went from full to 0 very fast.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the logs. I've been meaning to do that. Something bad happened.
I think everyone's health went full to dead really fast. For whatever reason. Yeah, and you know what I've noticed, and this happened to us yesterday in the Skyreach run we did, is there's been packs where we have had no issues, even on 13, no issues at all, and it's like the easiest trash kill of our lives. For example, in Skyreach, right after the first boss, we go up the ramp to the left, and there's the little fire dude that drops the flare and a couple other mobs. It's never been an issue. Until yesterday.
Yeah.
Like there was no chance
I
of
fell
me
over.
saving. And I have no idea what happened. There was not a chance in hell that I was going to be able to keep up with that damage. And I don't know if it was just one of those things where something on the floor was clipped and we couldn't see it or what, but like once in a while, I think we've both noticed that there's pulls where we've never had issues that are like relatively easy, where it's just like, boop, we're dead.
Well, some of it might be me biting off more than we can chew.
But not in that pull, though. We've pulled that one the exact same way every single time we've done it. And it is never once, even when I first started healing or before, like, we got as geared as our characters are, like, it has never been an issue.
Well, I'm not blaming anybody here, but it could be a DPS challenge, right? Either DPS isn't performing as who we might be used to, right?
That's fair.
And a creature is living longer, or we're not focusing on the one key enemy that really should be first. So the Sun Priestess that does like the blinding thing that is a kick, the faster you kill it, the more kicks you can spread around on other enemies that are casting, because most of that group is nothing but casters. So
True.
if you leave that priestess up, that means someone in a pug is holding their kick for that kick, or they're not kicking at all, which is also making the damage ratchet up. Because I could leg sweep, but then they're just going to cast again. But the Windrunner 13 I mean, it was timed.
Did time it. Barely, if I remember correctly.
Well, I was already happy for you. We timed it. I was excited. I was clapping. I was cheering. And then...
So was I. And then...
Math.
Math. So, let me set the stage for everyone. I'm like 16 IO away from 3K. Right? I had a 12 timed in Windrunner. And I think it was a 1 chest 12. So clear timing a 13. That's easy 3K. That's an easy 20 points. And we ended up just barely timing it with like seconds left.
But seconds left is still a timed key.
It's still a timed key, and we were all stoked because that was my 3K run. Now, if we're using the rules of math and rounding, it was 3K. But it was not 3K. It was 2,999.
Brutal.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, like you said, we were all cheering and clapping, and then I didn't see the achievement. And the splash screen popped up to tell me my new rating, and it was 2,999. Damn it.
If I am smart enough, future me might throw that screen up on the screen for the YouTube audience.
Damn it. That's all I gotta say about that run.
Oh, it was
Although
heartbreaking.
It was a good run.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Aside from the one kerfluffle, something happened.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the logs.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is because we were so close to the entrance, we fed a couple deaths to it as well.
Oh, is that what happened?
Right? Yeah, I think by the time we recovered and got it going, we had like 8 deaths.
Oh.
Which is a problem that I'm noticing that our little group has.
Well,
or actually not even our group, that a lot of people have, is we die and release, especially when the tank dies. People are just releasing, running back in, and next thing you know, we've got 8 deaths, and
I've had to type out "let it go" a couple of times.
Yeah, where it's like, and that begs the question: when is it better to just take the wipe versus release and run back in? Personally, I think if the tank dies, unless the tank can get back within seconds without everyone else dying, yeah, go for it. But if the tank can't,
right,
just let it go, take the 5 deaths and reset and go. Because otherwise, like, if you're finishing a pull like that with like 8, 9, 10 deaths because people keep releasing, running in, dying, releasing, running in, dying, you're just killing your key.
Yes, and it's also important to remember where you are in relation to where the respawn point is, right? The waystone. And in seat, because this happened yesterday, I have no idea what was trucking me, but something was certainly trucking me in a pool that I have done, unless somehow we got more than I initially intended, butt pool or whatnot. The first pool after the first boss, you go to the left and you're killing the rift guy. The respawn point is right where you wait for the like wall to open. And I was able to get right back in it, but I still, until I look at the logs, I still don't know what really happened, other than I had gone through everything, and there was I had no juice left, right? Nothing in the tank to help you, and I couldn't punch fast enough to get a brew back. I had used the one that gives me everything back. It's kind of like an oh shit. I'd already done that. But one thing I can tell you is that there were plenty of casts going off, aka Shadow Mend. So the pool was going to be longer than ever because everything was getting healed.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, you know? But,
I think you just like to stress me out, is what it is.
well, as much as you're stressed out, I'm also stressed out.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're in this
fair.
boat together.
True.
So Windrunner, I don't remember anything that stood out as why it could have been a very rough key, other than, you know, falling over on the first pull.
Yeah, outside of that, the first pull there, it was fairly smooth. I think there was like a couple random deaths throughout, but nothing like super crazy.
When did you get 3K?
I got 3K. When was Windrunner? That was
I think Sunday night.
Sunday. I got 3K Monday night. We was Windrunner the last key of that night, or did we try and send a couple more?
I just know we sent a fair amount between Windrunner and the key that you got it in, and it was a slaughter fest.
Yeah.
I just think that I'm not being mean, and it's certainly a possibility that it's me and being overconfident. But sometimes DPS is a little lackluster, and having lower DPS means you need to do smaller pools, because if it's too low, you can't risk having an extra caster in the next group that will cast something that's annihilating you. And so I like to try and adjust if I am feeling that we're a little lower on the DPS side. Like, this creature is taking way too long. But, you know, also at the same time is the tools that would mark things I don't really have access to, and I have been bitten by a bug in stock UI as much as it is in modded, where I can't right click and mark somebody. It will give me an error if I'm in combat. And I think hot take, I think that's bullshit. But I mean, if that's an error that can be fixed and that's on my end, I will be more than happy to do it, but I haven't found a solution. And if it's intended behavior, I think it's bullshit. But
I have an add-on that might help with that.
Well, that's the thing, is like add-ons aren't supposed to be able to do that. Which is
it's
like,
not
I can macro
it's
it,
not like a...
but I don't know if maybe that will give me the problem too. Although it seems that one of our friends is able to do it in combat. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but
yeah.
If you're not killing the high prio target, which would be like the most lethal thing, or and sometimes they're like the smallies. The smallies might do more melee damage to the tank, and the faster you get one or two of them off the table, right? You have a better chance of survival because you can maybe manage the kick.
Yeah, and it just starts relieving a lot of the pressure off the healer because you
And tank,
as
yeah.
a tank are taking way less damage.
Right.
Yeah.
So Magister's Terrace.
Magister's Terrace.
It doesn't stand out to me like it was a slaughter fest, so I feel like it went pretty damn smooth.
Yeah, so the dungeons in between that Windrunner and Magister's Terrace,
Did we do a
they
caverns?
were rough. There was a caverns. There was
A couple of seats.
seats. The seats were they were rough, and I think part of it on my end, and maybe for everyone else, because we ran with a stack of 4. And then the actual Magister's Terrace was a 5 stack because we had a warrior that we had previously
Adopted.
ran with that we adopted.
Well, we adopted after we bricked the key, but it wasn't necessarily us bricking the key. It was a combination of things. Again, back to kicking.
Yeah. Those runs were rough, and I certainly wasn't playing my best because I
A bit tilted.
had all that added. Yeah, and I had all that added pressure on that I had given myself, where it's like, this is 3K. Like, if we time this as 3K, if we don't, then I'm still at $29.99.
Yes.
And I think and it got to the point where like everyone, like people had plans, or it was getting late, and we called it, and
we took a sleep.
yeah, we had a little rest, a little sleep, and then that Monday night, I think we had basically like our first key, our warm-up key, and then we jumped into Magister's Terrace 13, and we absolutely fucking destroyed it.
I'm a big fan of warm-up keys.
Yeah, warm-up keys are good. I enjoy a warm-up key, even if it's like we have Resil 12s. So if I hop in a key, like personally, like for me, if my key breaks and it drops down, like I don't really care. It sucks, but
Right.
I'm not pushing like a Resil 16 or anything like that. Like we're doing 13. So if my 13 drops to a 12, well, I mean, whatever. I'm still getting the loot that I need. I'm still getting crests, and I'll level the key back up.
Well, I mean, I would like to get my monk at Resil 13. I'm also working on Resil 15 on the Resil 15 on the Evoker. So I mean, I'm not sweating it, but it also means that sometimes if I want to warm up, and I have to find a key that is in the listing, as opposed to run my own key for warm up for the day. And then I have to try to do it before others get on. If others are wanting to jump right in, or if they want to warm up, then we kind of have to split the group up. Go into the queue, do a warm-up key, and then jump in. Or if we are lucky enough to have one key level here and the same key on a higher level, we could warm up on the lower level key and not necessarily sweat it, but get in the rhythm and experiment.
Yeah, I like a warm-up key, especially now that I'm jumping between 2 healers.
Got to get that muscle memory back. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we did 4 keys with my shaman just to get our vault set, and then we ran out my druid's key, which went 2 to 5 to 8 to 10 to now a 12. So if I jump back to the shaman, which I think today's probably gonna be a druid day.
And I purposely, that 10, I purposely did not pick a lust. We had no lust, and I did it on purpose because I didn't want to put us into a 13. That was a strategic move.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because like as easy as those runs were for me, and like obviously, definitely like the 2 was whatever, like,
Well,
and
yeah,
even the 5.
Are you even playing? That is not the same game at a 12, right? Like,
yeah, like the 10 was still relatively easy. I did not feel like I struggled or panicked at all.
if I
But-
didn't end up with a 14 on the monk, I mean, maybe I will. Maybe it's irrelevant, and I just lower it to 12, and so we can get you 12 across the board. I don't know if that key that the monk has is of any value to anybody in our friends group. I'd have to look, but regardless, I think the druid's probably ready for 12, and you know, we can lean on the Resil 12 that the monk has.
Yeah, I definitely. The druid's only like 268 item level, where my shaman is 280.
Yes, but
So I definitely.
we were doing 12s and 13s at 268.
True.
You're not
mean,
going to get
true.
much gear than 283, 284 without really honing in on a drop from bonus rolls, which is something later that we'll talk about.
Yeah, but like I still have like 4 or 5 champion pieces to get rid of. Today I'm gonna look at getting rid of one of those with a crafted piece, like I mentioned earlier, to get that embellishment.
Well, with
so
enough
there's definitely
keys, they'll all end up on the hero track. But I think your
Yeah.
problem's gonna be the hero crests are always the pain point. We either do content that is, I don't want to sound hoity-toity, but below our skill level, which takes a spot away from the queue, because they'll see, you know, if they have Raider IO, they'll see the Warband IO, you know, your main's IO, right? They'll see that, or they'll see the monk. They'll see the monk queuing up at 3K, which we did eventually get for that character. And they'll ignore people who that content is really for, and it's not that it's not for me, it's that they are trying to progress, right?
Yeah, but I think in this case,
I mean, it'd be good practice for you.
because
Yeah?
there's, well, yes, and because there's such a tank shortage, yeah, I mean, you could look at it that you're taking away from other tanks, but you're also providing
A service.
Yeah, honestly, to the DPS who are sitting
Yeah,
in
true.
queue all night just to get one key done because there's no tanks.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes I feel bad because I've been in, like, you know, struggling and in a bracket where, you know, I've applied, especially as DPS, where I've applied to, you know, 5 keys, I've maxed out and I'm waiting, and this is usually on like a hunter, which I also understand. It's not necessarily the most desired in some seasons. But but then again, this was back when we had a whole host of different affixes, and hunters brought in a killer kit for it, but everybody went. Now I can't recall what everyone was going for. But this was back in Shadowlands. But we had Binding Shot, we had obviously Lust, Trank Shot. There was something else that could conquer the affixes. Explosive Orbs. There was something that I could do with Explosive Orbs. Anyway, regardless. Yeah, I mean that I have been on that end, and I feel bad to a degree because I am taking up a slot that could go to someone who's trying to progress through the keys, right? But to your point, as a tank, I am providing a service.
Yeah, because like there's a big shortage, and like most people who are playing a tank probably aren't jumping into that queue because they've probably either put together or already have a group that they're rolling keys with,
right?
And they've slammed up the key levels, so anyone who's got an alt or is coming in late or is just trying to solo queue into keys.
I did get a whisper last night from someone whose main was 3400 or higher IO. It's like, the whisper was 3400 plus IO, trying to get my alt through, and I had already picked everybody for the group, and I was like, oh, so sorry, man. I would have taken them in a heartbeat had I not. I do. I'm a little nice. If I pick you from the queue, I am taking you. I will not go, oh, this person looks like they might be better. If I've clicked on invite, you're coming. But, sometimes that bites me in the ass too.
Yeah, I don't have it in me to invite someone then kick them out, even if it's for like a friend or a guildie. It's like, sorry, like we'll get you in on the next one.
Yeah, I mean, there will be another key.
Because like I think about it from the point of view of that person where it's like, oh yeah, like I finally got a key after waiting for an hour.
Yes.
Just to get removed without a word feels bad. And I would feel bad doing that to somebody. So like for me, if I've I'm the same way. If I've invited someone, even if it kicks me in the ass, like they're coming to that key.
Well, Digi, congratulations on 3K IO.
Thank you. Feels good.
That's your
Feels
highest
great.
ever. I am so excited for you. And you've done it on a healer.
I did it on a healer.
What the
Yeah. My next highest is like, I think my paladin's at 2K from like the early keys.
Back when we were trying to
of
get 2K for an extra charge.
Yeah. Well, no, not even. I only got the 2K this week.
Oh.
On the paladin, because we did a couple keys for one of your friends who is also a healer.
Oh, right. Yes.
And rather than going elemental, I swapped over to my paladin, who is no longer a healer, is full-time ret now.
Yeah, it gives you a break from worrying about my health.
Well, I still healed.
Well, yeah.
I threw a couple lay on hands and heals out there because it's hard. I got so into the healer mindset. It's hard to not
away.
Look at the health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which will be nice to get more DPS time in there, just so I can
see what DPS are handling.
Well, that and to also be able to like train myself to flick that switch, because I'm not always going to be healing. Like you've got that druid friend. We've got our mutual friend who really wants to play his discipline priest sometimes.
Sure.
So it's like I'm not gonna hog all the healing time. I'm a healer main now, which is still weird. But like
I guess I could
I've
level
gotta-
a 5th alt, or once the Augavoker is done with keys for the week. Like if my raiding time gets cut down and maybe we unlock 2 vault slots, but even if it's like a heroic reclear or a mythic reclear, like mythic reclear, yeah, like maybe those 2 or 3 vault slots, if we because we're rotating people through, right? We have as much as there's 20 players in the raid, there's another 5 to 8 that are not in the raid that assist. We've got kind of a rotation that we go through in terms of mythic. Get people easy mythic crests or progress the character through, and to like keep strats familiar, if you will. And that helps because everyone is pitching in, and sometimes someone's gonna need a raid night off because they there's something they have to do. That's healthy, and that's a good way to think about it. I would much prefer, and clearly I am capable of doing mythic progression as I've done it, but I would prefer to not do that and to allow someone else to have that glory and that experience, and come in when someone needs to sub out, because I would much rather be doing keys. Like,
yeah,
a key is 30 minutes of attention, not 3 hours of attention, right? And 3 hours of attention is personally kind of draining.
yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
But congratulations nonetheless.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So enough about those keys. There's some Mythic Plus changes coming up, maybe, kind of, who knows. But I know that 12.0.7, let's pray it's not buggy as shit. They dropped a preview, but more importantly, your favorite Augavoker and Devourer are getting hit with nerfs. What? Ugh, feels kind of bad. Well, yeah, but there's also like Unholy Death Knight is there. There's some class tuning. Are they really nerfs, or are we being pulled back into the pack? I think we're being pulled back into the pack, because I can tell you firsthand that having a Devourer and a Lock and an Aug, or you could even substitute the Devourer, although the Devourer will give you a magic damage done bonus. Caster group. If you have mostly a mostly caster group, the damage is stupid.
I like stupid damage though.
Well, yes. I don't think it's gonna change the meta too much. You're gonna see Augs pushing the higher, upper key level. Will it change MDI, which is happening soon? Yeah. I do have a question though.
What's that?
What's better, an extra 2 to 4 weeks on the PTR, or a scramble to fix it?
Definitely, I would say an extra 2 to 4 weeks on PTR.
I am kind of leaning to that because last week I couldn't really play the game.
No, it was an experience. That's the best way I can put it. Going from. So because I am an alcoholic, I enjoy the things that they add in for more like early level 90 stuff, the rituals, the invasions, the nightmare praise, delves. I enjoy all that stuff, but when it gets released and you go through the why am I blanking on what they're called, the smaller events that lead up to the invasion.
Oh yeah,
then the invasion's broken. That sucks.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the whole thing wasn't released last week.
Well, it was.
Oh.
Just the invasions weren't spawning. Or whatever the big one is that like you see the bar fill up on your map.
Which is irrelevant to everybody listening.
So
okay, I'm leaning more to the 2 to 4 weeks on PTR to get it fixed.
So our mage friend, if you remember, we were getting set up to do keys, but he was trying to do the invasion real quick, and it ended up being like an hour. Well, it's because it wasn't spawning because it was broken, and they ended up disabling it. So definitely that extra couple weeks or even days, like just for them to fix up and maybe run it by their QA team.
Make an event.
Time.
Make an event and be like, yo, play with the blues, or because they've done that before. Play with the blues all this week, and try to I don't want to make somebody work in an evening when they normally don't. I mean, but maybe you don't show up to the office, or you don't report to work early in the morning. You come in late and you play, and if you make an event, people will show up typically. And the WoW player base, the fan base, if you will, can be very ferocious, and they have a tendency to show up and like do it. Why not? Because if it gets 100,000 people on a PTR server, that's a fairly good stress test. Especially with the sharding technology and other stuff that they have to worry about. Even if it's 50,000, right? Or even if it's 20,000. Mm-hmm. If 20,000 people are all in the same little cluster, what is happening to the event? Is it working? Is it not working? And I think maybe that could work. But we mostly took a week off, and we started pushing towards later in the WoW week, as opposed to playing on Friday night kind of hardcore.
Yeah. And like getting 50 or 100,000 people on the PTR is definitely better than what they did for this.
Yeah, but this seems to be an ongoing kind of a reoccurring issue from way back in Shadowlands. I just remember that some of the patches since have seriously been plagued with
maybe
issues.
If they didn't lay off their QA team.
There was a tweet.
They still had a QA team.
There was a Mike Urbana, who used to be co-president, had a reply to a tweet to an article talking about the patches plagued with bugs, etc., and his reply was kind of tone deaf, because he said it's time for Blizzard to reset and get back to the basics in the lines of that, like recommit to this and that. He's the guy that cut the QA team. Hello? Bullshit. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You caused this problem. In the name of redundancy, yeah? Good, redundant. Really? Because clearly you're having an issue.
I mean, that patch just proved that it's definitely not redundant.
Right.
That patch should make him redundant, honestly.
Well, I mean, he's no longer with Blizzard, so.
Oh, well.
Good.
There we go.
Like, you know, when he became co-president of Blizzard, you know, a lot of us who play WoW were cheering, like, oh, one of us, you know, this guy does Mythic Plus and, you know, plays WoW and understands how to play the game to an extent, et cetera, et cetera. Turns out, kind of sus at business leadership. But, I mean, really sus, like, in a capitalist society, you know, your goal is to make more profit. And, you know, if you feel that there's redundancy because you have a team of 50 when you really need a team of 25, so you don't have 25 people just sitting around all the time, you have 25 people constantly working on QA stuff, but then if QA stuff falls to the wayside because you don't have the bandwidth to make sure that stuff going through QA is actually going through QA, you know, QA is kind of stuck in a, you know, they're a hard place in a rock because they're testing what they get, but if they're not testing everything because they're not getting everything, then you have a problem. You know, it's like me as, you know, doing some Lua developing for roleplay servers. If I give you something to test and it's not complete and I think, oh, well, this isn't important, I don't need to build this out in this script right now, I can add it later and it'll be fine. That's not true, right? That's just not true.
Yeah.
But anyway, sidetracking off topic wildly. MDI. I'm excited. Are you excited? I am excited. You could be not excited, but I'm excited. However, it seems that they've banned something.
They have banned something. They have banned mob snapping.
I knew this was coming if you couldn't tell from the hotfixes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've been doing everything they can to stop that and to, you know, make us play it as Ted did. But it's like, well, if you've...
Well, but that's clever use of game mechanics.
Yeah. If the game, you know, has a way that's not like an open exploit for us to do something, then we're going to do it.
Exploit often, exploit early is what some people say.
That was the motto on the server I played on my first MMO, was exploit early, exploit often, because that game was full of people exploiting.
Well, yeah. I have not done the Algathar snap on the Evoker. Although I'm reaching the point to where we would probably start to consider doing it, but I wouldn't dare attempt to do it in a 16 without serious practice. But, you know, I don't know. Blizzard is clearly sending a signal, stop doing this. But yeah, snapping banned. Of course, they changed up MDI. If you've been watching recently, they've been doing kind of an MDI that was based on the Great Push, which you start on a key level, like say a 16, and your whole goal is to push this dungeon up to the highest key you can go, and each key level is points, right? So a 16 is 16 points, an 18 is 18 points, so on and so forth. And there's a strategy that you would use in a lower key, a 16 in this case, and your strategy would shift as you go up because you want to 3-chest as many early keys as possible. So you want to certainly 3-chest your 16 and hopefully 2-chest the next one, if not 3-chest it. And then you start ratcheting up and shifting your strategy because you're playing not so much as to go through it as fast as possible, which is still ultimately part of the goal, but to survive and what you can and can't pull. I would pull differently on a 20 than I do on a 16, which personally maybe I need to start considering not pulling how I pull. Slow my roll a bit, if you will, as a monk. But it's interesting, and that's why I like it. But they're going kind of back to the speedrun part, which will also be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Maybe I'll try and pay attention to it.
You'll learn some tricks.
I mean, yeah. It'll be curious to see what like the meta groups are going into that. Like, are we gonna see Druid, Monk, Devourer, Og, Unholy?
You'll certainly see them all. So one thing that they added recently was you can't have you have a certain amount of runs you can do on a specific spec. So on lower keys where it didn't necessarily need the utility of one type of tank, you would see a different tank in there. And then for the higher key, if the healer tech was important for the hierarchy, you would see a different healer slotted in. And it would give you a mix. It does kind of suck to only see one type of comp go through, because there's many more specs and there's a whole lot of tools, and these players are at the upper echelon and they could pick up classes and show you a trick or two that maybe you never thought of because they spent time to think about it and to mess with it, etc. But yeah, we'll certainly see Og. We'll certainly see Resto Druid in there. Will we see Discipline? Maybe. We might even see Holy Priest, but those might be something we see if I haven't looked at all the rules yet, but if they have to avoid meta and avoid playing different classes to reserve, or different specs to reserve the specs they want for later in a tournament, then they will certainly play different specs. They'll pull out a Holy Priest and they'll pull out a Holy Paladin. But
yeah, if that's the case, you'll probably see Shaman and Druid later.
Yeah, Shaman, surprisingly, not so surprisingly, but it's been showing more representation on the chart that shows you which classes are playing which key level, and that's nice to see. But that's because you have some tools that a Resto Druid doesn't necessarily have, like a kick, poison cleansing totem. Like a Resto Druid could certainly deal with poison.
Yeah.
I'm questioning myself. I assume, yeah, poison.
Yeah, it's got poison. I mean, I have poison in mine at least.
Right. But the poison cleansing totem, especially for Windrunner, you could drop the poison cleansing totem and remove a lot of poisons.
Yeah, that'll be pretty huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I was able to dive back in. I think you can dive back into pushing.
Oh, definitely.
Felt okay.
Yeah, yeah, it felt good, and I'm excited to keep pushing on the druid because honestly, I think it might end up being able to push, at least for me personally, a little bit nicer going into those hierarchies than my shaman.
Well, I'm interested to see it.
And it's like I've only got one night in on the druid,
There's only 4
and
keys too.
yeah, and it helps that I went in with, you know, your monk, which is already like geared and ready, and you're doing 13s and 14s.
I'm
And
overgeared
not
for
trying to do it.
those keys now. I
Yeah, like what I'm getting at is we were going into a 2, a 5, an 8, and a 10 with characters who are, you know, ready for 13, 14, and beyond. So it made it quite easy.
Yeah.
You know, we did have a couple. We picked up a couple pugs. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes today, jumping into 12s, which I think, like, I'm like gear wise, whatever, I'm fine. You know, I'm 268 or 269, something like that, like more than ready. It's just seeing more real damage go out and seeing how, well, like getting myself more used to it and learning how to heal with it a little bit more, how I can do compared to the shaman. Because definitely on the shaman, we like with the 14 feet that we tried to push, the damage going out was a lot. And because like I have a decent amount of things that are just instant or ground target with my rain and my totems and everything.
Which you also
But
need
once
DPS
those
to
are
stand
out,
in it.
yes, and that is a frustrating part when you are putting it out. And I
Druid's not
try
going to be any
to,
better. They're not going to stand in F-flow.
yeah, but when I throw out my stuff with the druid, even if they're out there standing in Narnia, it seems like they get a good amount of it. But if I'm like when I'm placing my totem for rain on the shaman, I try and place it to where it puts the tank on an edge, and then I try and place it on people if I can, but if not, I'll place it so the tank is in it on the edge and there's plenty of room for everyone else. But when they're out there standing in Narnia, that's just a lot of heals that aren't getting sent out to somebody because they're standing so far away. And then top that, once all that's out, everything I have is hard cast. So once all my instant kind of tricks are out, I'm hard casting. Where with Druid, yeah, I've got a couple hard casts, but they're much faster, and the healing pumps.
Yeah.
So, and I've said this a couple times over the last couple weeks, like that it might end up being nicer for me on a class like the Druid, that the AoE healing is crazy. Even with just my 2 abilities that pop out the trees,
Right.
and wild growth and all that, like I like our runs yesterday, especially the 10, which I don't remember what the dungeon was. When, you know, at a 10, that's when you start to see proper damage going out. It was still quite easy to keep the entire group up. Even just throwing a rejuve and then wild growth out, like I was chilling.
As a relatively inexperienced mid to late teens key level tank. I am finding, I should consider not doing this, but doing this instead. Finally, something is hitting hard enough to where I have to start guessing, or not guessing, but reordering the operations in which I am doing in the dungeon and in the pool, which is nice. The basics are nice.
Yeah.
Now I need to come up with ways to combine things into chain pool, and how I can handle stuff if terrible shit happens, like something's not getting kicked, without really exposing myself or, wiping the group because I ran off to go get a kick because no one else is kicking the damn thing, and it's just beating the crap out of all of the DPS.
Yeah, and well, we're getting to that point where things are
Harder?
more challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like we've said a couple times throughout the episodes, is there's a lot of gear going out, and we started way higher geared than than I think we should have going into the Mythic season.
Well, yeah, because
and that allowed us to push.
Most of us, the gear from an 8 was still not really applicable.
Yeah, like my shaman, when I switched my shaman for healing, it was already 270 item level.
Yeah.
And that was with what?
It's kind of crazy.
I think maybe I did 3 keys as elemental.
Yeah.
My monk has never done a key, or maybe no, that's a lie. I've done a couple like 2s, and I haven't touched my monk in a few weeks, and it's 270. Like,
right.
Starter gear is very fast. And you get a lot of crests doing all that. So I think now we're at that point where our key level is more matching gear, if not like almost exceeding.
Right now,
well, maybe not exceeding.
Now it's starting to become more skill.
Yeah.
And it's also,
I think that's what I was
seeing the issue, so you can work on the skill that will overcome the issue.
Yeah, like we're at the point where we can't really kind of brute force our way through it anymore.
Right, which is great, and it's a good spot. And now every point's going to start to feel more earned.
Yeah. Except for the next week on my druid.
I'm ready for keys. All this talk about keys.
Yeah, it's like when you talk about food and then you get hungry. We've been talking about keys. Now it's time for keys.
I would agree.
Let's do this. Thanks for listening, everyone. Podcast is over.
Thanks,
Done.
guys. See you next week.
Finite. Have a good week.
We're waving, but you can't see us.
Good luck in your keys.
Don't break your timer. And remember,
Skull dies last. If you like real Mythic Plus stories from non-World First players, hit subscribe and join our Discord. Links in the description.